the scariest episode of the Peppa Pig cartoon series that never aired on TV, Sir Shepherd. Peppa, George, Susie, and Danny are playing on the swings. The sun is shining. Everything is as usual. Suddenly, clouds begin to gather in the sky, and from behind the trees appears a tall gray boar wearing an old-fashioned hat and a worn-out vest. Sir Shepherd, in a calm, muffled voice. "Hello, children. I'm Sir Shepherd. Would you like to see a forgotten place where your parents used to play?" The children nod with curiosity. The boar leads them down a path into the forest. The farther they go, the darker it becomes. Their footsteps are muffled by moss, and the air grows colder. Tree branches creak. George clutches Peppa's hand. He's scared. Suddenly, they arrive at a strange playground. Everything is rusted. The swings creak without wind. Dirty paw prints stain the slide. On the sand lie old, half-rotted toys. Time has stopped here. This is where play never ends. As the children start playing, things turn odd. Laughter sounds slow and distorted. Susie runs, but her legs sink into the sand. Danny disappears behind the swings and doesn't return. Peppa calls for him, but only hears a whisper in reply. "Don't interrupt his play." George looks toward the forest. Eyes flicker in the bushes. Dozens of eyes. Peppa grabs George's hand and calls for Susie. But instead, a figure comes out from behind the broken slide. It looks like Susie, but with empty eyes and a strange grin. Her footsteps make no sound. Sir Shepherd stands aside. His eyes glow pale green. He speaks. "Sir Shepherd, some play forever. Others forget how to leave. It's too late to choose." Peppa remembers a drawing they made that morning. There was a path in it. She realizes the way out is where the heart-shaped stone was. Throwing a glance back, she pulls George, and they run. Sir Shepherd doesn't follow. He simply says quietly, "Everything comes back. Here." Peppa and George appear again at the normal playground. The sun is shining. Susie and Danny are there too, smiling as if nothing happened. Peppa looks toward the forest. In the distance, between the trees, Sir Shepherd's figure. He tips his hat and slowly fades into the shadows. Title screen. End of episode. The scary episode of the Peppa Pig cartoon series that never aired on TV. It's a regular day. Peppa is drawing in the living room. The sun is shining, everything seems calm. "I drew myself," she says cheerfully, holding up a picture. It's her, wearing her red dress and rosy cheeks. Mummy Pig praises the drawing and walks off to the kitchen. Peppa turns back, but the drawing is gone. In its place is a different one, almost the same, except this Peppa has no pupils. Her smile is stretched wide, too wide. Peppa stares at it for a long moment. Then there's a knock at the door. Daddy Pig opens the door. Standing there is Peppa. Same shape, same clothes, but slightly darker. Her eyes are dull, pupils barely visible. "I came to play," she says softly. "I'm Peppa too." "What a funny game," laughs Daddy Pig. "Another Peppa." The real Peppa stands behind him. "That's not me," she whispers. "I didn't invite her." The guest acts oddly. She doesn't blink. She speaks softly, almost in a whisper. Everything she says is a delayed echo of Peppa. "I like dinosaurs too. I'm scared of thunder too. I also see windows from inside." That last line makes Peppa shiver. "What do you mean, from inside?" she asks. No answer, just that stretched, drawn-on smile. That night, Peppa wakes up. The moon is shining through the window. She looks outside and sees herself. The other Peppa standing in the yard. She slowly lifts her head. Her eyes are glowing white. Peppa screams. Mummy and Daddy rush in. But outside, there's nothing. In the morning, the family gathers for breakfast. Mummy calls Peppa. Peppa walks in, and then another Peppa follows. Both are smiling. "Good morning," they say at the same time. Daddy Pig smiles nervously, then quietly asks, "Which one of you is the real one?" Both papas turn to the camera. Both smile, wide, unnatural, and one of them says, "I'm the real one." She's not. I was outside, but she's already inside. The screen darkens slowly. The deleted episode of Peppa Pig that never aired on TV. George is missing. It was a strange morning in Peppa Pig's house. Outside, everything was gray, as if someone had drained the color from the sky. Peppa woke up with an uneasy feeling, though she couldn't explain why. "George," she called out cheerfully. "It's time to get up. We were going to play dinosaurs." There was no answer. Peppa frowned and went downstairs. Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig were at the kitchen table, but they weren't drinking coffee or chatting like usual. They sat in silence. Mummy Pig gripped her cup so tightly her fingers were white. Daddy Pig stared at the wall. His face was completely blank. "George isn't in his room," Peppa said. "He's just not there." Mummy Pig slowly turned her head toward Peppa. There wasn't surprise in her eyes, only fear. Daddy Pig stood up abruptly. For a second, he glanced at Mummy Pig. She gave the smallest of nods. And instead of heading outside, he walked toward the basement. The basement door creaked open. The sound dragged out far too long. As he descended, the light switch clicked, and a faint yellow bulb flickered to life. The camera followed slowly. In the center of the dusty basement floor were scratches, deep and deliberate. Between them, something was carved. G-E-O-G. Daddy Pig froze. After a long pause, he turned around and left without saying a word. His face was pale, defeated. Later, when the house was quiet, Peppa sat alone in the living room and turned on the TV. It buzzed and crackled, resisting her. But eventually, the screen lit up. Not cartoons, not news, just grainy black and white footage of a forest. The camera shook, like it was being held by trembling hands. And then, through the trees, George appeared. He stood sideways, wearing his usual clothes, but he wasn't moving at all. His skin looked too pale. His eyes were dark pits. As the camera zoomed in, George suddenly turned and stared straight into it. His mouth started to move, but the sound was delayed. A distorted, low, almost demonic voice came from the speakers. "He belongs to them now." The screen glitched and the TV shut itself off. Peppa noticed small hoof prints on the floor, leading to the stairs. They were dirty, like George had walked through the forest, but the front door had never opened. The trail went up to the attic. No one ever went to the attic. She climbed slowly, step by step. The air grew still. The light dimmed. She stopped at the door. From behind it came a sound, snorting. But it wasn't George's usual snort. It was deep, rough, almost human. Peppa opened the door. The attic was massive, bigger than it should have been. In the far corner stood George. He turned around, but it wasn't George anymore. His body had stretched unnaturally, limbs too long, arms hanging limp like a puppet. His face, pale and slack-jawed, his eyes, two black voids, mist trailing out of them. He took a step toward her. He snorted. With every sound, the room grew darker, the air heavier. "Gee, George," Peppa whispered, her voice trembling. He didn't answer, just tilted his head and let out a high-pitched wail, like a baby crying, but played backwards and slowed down. Then he ran, fast, jerky, inhuman, like something broken. The screen didn't show what happened next, just blackness.